And I'm just going to keep it real. You can pick and choose what you want to put in this interview from what you want to put. Because I was a dancer and I didn't understand the shuffling culture, I was hearing their music, but was still dancing like me. They was like, whoa, whoa, oh my God, what? I wouldn't call myself a shuffler, and I would prefer to be called a shape cutter.
Do you know who was the pioneer or the group or the people that started with that kind of expression?
I definitely know now. If we was to go back the last 4 or 5 generations, they don't know what For the Love of House is. Every time the new generation comes, the ones at the top will fall off.
In Spain, we got really influenced by London dancers and the cutting shape movement. 2015, 2016, the future house became something like a trend, you know?
Even when HouseWarmers started, there was a group of people that didn't agree with it. It's like, it should be in the clubs or in the streets. Why are you going in the studio? Why are you teaching? I don't know if you know, at one point they was trying to stop cutting shapes in certain clubs over here. They had signs up. Certain people that would cut shapes, people take a picture, send it to the club, and then next would be the picture of the person, no cutting shapes.
Yes,
That was crazy. An actual thing. My cousin, who goes by the name of Mr.Shapes. I just want to give some backstory because I know the last time Kerry was doing an interview, he said a few things that I don't know why, but when I called him, he was like, I panicked.
Would you say that cutting shapes is shuffle? What's up, my people? Welcome to this first podcast of Rave Insiders. And the idea of this podcast is basically talk about rave, club, and festival culture. We'll bring many different dancers, pioneers, or people involved in different dance styles movement. And the first one will be Ev-O-Lution. He's a professional dancer who started dancing a long time ago when he was really young and he started performing. But on 2012, when the house scene was big, he danced to Dennis Ferry's song and that video went viral, reaching millions of people. And then is when the cutting shape movement kind of started. Also when Instagram was starting also to put videos and not just only photos. So you will see in this podcast that we talk about the house music culture, we talk about the shuffling, about the cutting shapes, the origins, about the expressions. So yeah, you will see that there's many interesting topics and talks in this podcast. So let's go with it. All right, welcome to this new interview with a special guest, Ev-O-Lution. So we'll start with the first question of the interview, like who is Evo? If you can, Evo, sorry, because my Spanish pronunciation.
That's cool.
But yeah, if you can introduce yourself.
It's cool. Some people say Evo, some people say Evo. My birth name is Everton. Mm-hmm. So I've gone from Everton to Ev-O-Lution. So
all right.
Yeah, that's who I am. And reason why I've evolved is because not to go too much into it, but out of 20 odd children, out of siblings, I've got 25 brothers and sisters. And out of all of them, I've got my dad's first name, middle name and last name. So I'm like the evolution of my father.
All right.
So not only that, I started off dancing, then went into modeling, then got into directing, arts development and music, and now studying music business. So I'm forever elevating and evolving. So that's where the name Ev-O-Lution comes from, given to me by my cousin. So yeah.
That makes so much sense.
Yeah.
Perfect, right?
Yeah.
So, okay, when did you start dancing and what's your background?
All right, so I started dancing from as long as I remember. I actually grew up in Canada. So yeah, being homeschooled, when I would get like my ABCs and my 1, 2, 3s right, my mum would come home with like Michael Jackson videos and t-shirts and cassettes and stuff like that. So I was a Michael Jackson fan from like small, mimicking and watching him on TV and just doing exactly what he was doing. And before I knew it, it was just something that was always in me. I was always dancing and I was a fan of music from small, listening to MC Hammer, Michael Jackson and, you know, Bobby Brown and people like that. And came over here from the age of 9. And yeah, our school would have like school assembly. So they would ask who wants to perform and stuff. And one day, my teacher saw that I was a good dancer and she asked me to help her teach the class a dance. And yeah, from that moment on, my teacher told my mum to keep me into dancing and I've just continued dancing. Yeah, so that's how I got into dancing. From age, like what, 9.5, 10, like was when I did the school assembly, but I've been dancing all my life.
That's crazy. Yeah. Nice. I think that the ones you got from the, and I also remember my mom was putting me those videos of Michael Jackson, all the performance he was doing. So
yes.
Oh, it's so nice. So let's go straight to what is cutting shapes for you, what it comes from this expression. So tell us more about the house shuffle scene and the UK style.
Okay, well, for me personally, when I came on the scene, it wasn't deliberate or anything like that. I came across a song that I liked, which was by Dennis Ferreira, Mind Your Step. Back then, I can't say that I was a big fan of house. I was into house or anything like that. I was a dancer and I was a freestyler, but also a choreographer. So solo, I'd freestyle and do my own thing. But when it came to group work, I'd always be choreographing dances and stuff like that for artists or for shows or projects and things like that. So I used to go around teaching dance in schools and youth clubs and stuff. And one day, no one turned up to the class. And I thought, let me just put on some music and just vibe out in there. And I came across this song, Mind Your Step, and I played it. And I did what I wanted to do and express myself, what just felt natural to me. And it went viral because at the time it was a big song on the UK house scene. And when I started doing moves to it, people was only used to people literally just shuffling at that stage. So when I came on the scene, everyone was still saying the word, it was moving from shuffling to cutting shapes. So I was trying to identify what's the difference. It kind of looked very similar, but what I learned very quickly was shuffling was literally just with the feet. And cutting shapes was using your whole body with it.
Yeah, the arm work. The lines.
Exactly.
Shapes.
So for me personally, that would be the difference is cutting shapes is actually using your whole body and making shapes of your body.
Exactly.
Where shuffling would be you just shuffling your feet and moving your feet in different ways, but shuffling. And
yeah, because when I started like looking at cutting shapes in UK, I didn't know that came from expression of like the cut those shapes, you know, like shape shifting and all the stuff that with the arms. Like when I saw just cutting shapes, I thought it was because of the footwork. But because when I saw like shuffle in Australia, it was so different, you know, and I was like, that's different style, you know. But we will go later about the technique and everything. But basically, I didn't know that it came from the arm and the expression, you know. So it's so cool that people can know about where it came from, this expression, these cutting shapes. Then it developed to something else, of course.
Yes.
But it's so cool that basically like the shuffling, all this thing was here before years ago. But then this term of cutting shapes appeared, I think, 2012, something like that.
I would say 2012, the ending of 2011. But yes, definitely 2012 is where the peak of it happened. But it was there just before that.
And it was kind of movement. But do you know who was the pioneer or the group or the people that started with that kind of expression? It was a kind of like people, it was a certain group, just everyone. Like, or just a dancer? Or?
I can say my cousin who goes by the name of Mr.Shapes.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
I know him.
Yes. He, I would say he was back then the pioneer who brought it back, who made it start trending again. And he was going around collecting people who was actually interested in that movement. At this time, I didn't know this world existed. I was just doing what I was doing. I was just freestyling, just doing what I was doing. But I didn't actually knew there was a little community starting to happen. So it was him. It was a guy called Edward Scissorleg. I think I'm saying.
I think I know him because he's the first one of I Got Shapes, probably.
Yes,
right?
yeah. So people like that, they were, you know, they were known for what they was doing, and respect where it's true. Do you get me? So yeah, they at the time when I started, it was them who was at the, you know, that was walking with the flag, saying, "Yeah, come on, cut shapes, and you know, we're doing this movement, blah 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 blah." For I will not start. I'll let you.
Let's go. Okay, so I want to ask you, like, how did you start in cutting shapes scene? Like, it was the clubs, party, friends. Like, how did you start getting into, you know, like dancing with people that know that is cutting shapes? How did you join the movement?
So exactly what I was saying before. I was dancing in the studio and I put on that song, Mind Your Step by Dennis. And once that video went viral, I just had, at the time, Instagram just only made it able that you could upload videos, because before that it was just pictures only.
Exactly.
So it was like a month new around that time. And once I uploaded that video of me just dancing to that song, it went viral, and I had so many people come in my DMs and commenting on the video saying, can we come down and dance with you in the studio? So I was like, yeah. And it happened every Monday for about 2-3 weeks. And I thought I might as well turn this into something, because it happened very, very quickly. But one thing that everyone always said was the vibe is very warming. And I didn't know these people, and these people didn't know each other, but everyone just kept saying, yeah, the last time I came to the session, the vibe was warm, and like, I've got to come back again. We danced to house music. So I thought it was a good idea to call it HouseWarmers, because people say the vibe is warming. We're dancing to house music. You're coming to my studio. So at first it was actually called Ev-O-Lution's Housewarming.
Okay.
If you go back and watch on YouTube the original episodes, it was actually called Ev-O-Lution's Housewarming, because it was like, guys, come down and dance with me, come vibe. It was more like, come down and dance with me, come vibe with me. And then after a while, I thought, yeah, let me take that off, because it turned into an actual...
It became a club, you know?
Yeah, it became an actual thing. And it moved away from the studios and went into the streets. And from the streets, we just go into stores randomly and just start doing videos in stores and doing it in places where we shouldn't be doing it, but just giving it that vibe.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So now tell us more about this project, HouseWarmers. Like, you explained how it became this idea and the name. So explain like more or less at what time it started the project and how is now the project. So a bit everything about HouseWarmers. So
with HouseWarmers, me and HouseWarmers go hand in hand. When I joined the house scene, that was when I did the video. So when HouseWarmers started is when Ev-O-Lution came along on the house scene. So it's basically the same thing, same story. Like, did the viral video, everyone came down, and then after 2-3 weeks, I said, you know what, let's turn it into a thing. I don't know how much depth you want me to go into certain things or keep it shallow.
No, you can go on open talk. Like,
are you sure?
Yeah.
Cool. So at the time, I was having sessions in this building. It was a youth club, and Cassidy, he was downstairs. He was a lifeguard for the swimming pool downstairs. So he was into house music at the time, and he saw what I created. So I did say to him, do you know what, bro, you're actually, because he used to go to the clubs. When he was going to the clubs, I wasn't going to the clubs. Like I said, my thing was, it was just very organic. I didn't force anything. People was coming to me, wanted to dance with me, whatever. So I said to him, where you're in the club and I'm doing the sessions, it would be good if when you go to the club, bring people in.
Exactly.
Yeah. That didn't actually happen. It didn't come to terms of happening, but that was the plan. So at the time it was, you know, I'll run the inside and you run the outside or whatever. It came to a point where, you know, I don't know, differences, different opinions and stuff like that. So that work relation came to a very quick end after a while. But before that, we did do shows. I don't know if you've heard of Fast Lane. Okay, yeah. So we did do a few shows. We did Carnival.
That's nice.
Yeah, we went around doing things like that and getting paid as well. We got paid very quickly because at the time there was other groups, but people wanted HouseWarmers.
Exactly, because of the vibe also.
Yeah. People wanted HouseWarmers. And then Cass, I guess after how many years, went and started, no, not how many years, same year he started his pattern house.
Yeah, pattern house.
Yeah, pattern house.
I also started looking at these videos of him.
Yeah. So he went and done that. We were still doing our thing and he was doing his thing. But there was this, some people felt if they came to ours, they couldn't go to his, or if they couldn't come to us.
Always happens.
you know, when they came to ours, I was encouraging them that they can go to his. I don't know what was happening on the other side, but I know that I was encouraging people to go to the other side. And then after a while, I guess that came to an end. And again, HouseWarmers was just there. So the people that would go there started coming to HouseWarmers. And then few years later, Mr.Shapes called me and said he has an idea. He would like to create a new movement, and he would like to call it UK Sunday. Is it
UK Sunday?
No, Shuffle. What is it? Shuffle UK? Shuffle? No.
The UK Shuffle Dance. You mean the page that is right now going on?
It's active now, but they do it on a Sunday.
After pandemic, you're saying?
Yeah, during pandemic.
During pandemic, exactly.
Yeah.
Cassidy told me about it.
Yes, that one. So Mr. Shapes called me and he basically said to me, like, you know, like, look, I want to have me, you, and Cassidy come together, known for the scene, and create something. But me personally, because I know how I work and based on things that happened in the past, I just said to him that I'll just continue with HouseWarmers and, you know, I wish you guys all the best, but do what you need to do or whatever. So I wasn't a part of that, but it was actually Mr. Shapes' creation of that. He's no longer part of it now because I think they removed him.
Oh, I don't know.
He created it, but something happened.
Yeah, and he's a part of it. Yeah.
But he was removed. But anyways, moving away from that, I just want to give some backstory because I know the last time Kerry was doing an interview, he said a few things that I don't know why, but when I called him, he was like, I panicked. So,
what is this?
Yeah, so now me personally, I'm just speaking my truth. So, do you know what I'm saying?
That's cool.
So I just felt like I had to fill that gap in. But I don't have any problems with anybody or anything like that. I encourage everybody in their movement. And that's it. Like regarding, you know, because there's always been this thing, oh, why don't they work together? Why don't they work together? Yeah. There's always been that question. But I'm just someone who learns from my mistakes. So I wouldn't go and work with certain people knowing after certain things that's happened. But everybody else, even the new people that's up and coming, I wish them all the best. And, you know, like, yeah, I don't know if you know, I've kind of just...
I didn't know what happened exactly, but I know that Marvik did a interview to Mr. Shapes and Cassidy, and there was one clip that they posted, and people were like, "What?" You know, like something was missing there. So, and now I think that you're clarifying this gap.
And you know, in that same interview, they mentioned the fact that this is why I called Mr. Shapes.
Okay.
The fact that they mentioned, I think he said that one of them said they taught me. I've always been a dancer. I'm a professional dancer. So before cutting shapes or before I knew what cutting shapes or shuffling was, I've always been a dancer. I've always been a stage dancer, going on tours with artists and stuff like that. So no one didn't teach me to dance. I'll just clear that bit up.
Okay, I didn't know that it was that.
Yeah, I'll clear that bit up. And yeah, HouseWarmers started from me doing that video. It wasn't started from, you know, anything else. I don't need to go back into details or repeat myself, but it wasn't started by anything else. And no one brought me on the house scene. I brought myself on the house scene by putting a video on my Instagram page. And yeah,
that's nice to just have your point of view, because sometimes people, it's not that they're trying to, you know, they sometimes say something that is don't know what they meant, you know?
Yeah.
And sometimes it's good to have all the point of views to really, you know, get to the point.
And some other people who's watching that could also run away with that thinking it's facts. And it's not. Do you get me? So, yeah.
Okay. All right. So now we're going to go a bit more into technique, you know, more into the dance. Also, you're a dancer, so that's perfect to have a dancer's talk.
Yeah.
So what's the difference between shuffling and cutting shapes? We talked about it a bit.
Yeah.
But basically, what's the difference between shuffling and cutting shapes? Would you say that cutting shapes is shuffle? So now we can talk more about the other shuffle styles and everything. So yeah.
It's definitely related. It's in there because, okay, if someone who doesn't know anything about cutting shapes, the first thing that they will say when they see it is, oh, shuffling. You know, not to say that they're uneducated about or anything, but anyone that comes across that, they're more or less just going to say, oh, that's shuffling, because the cut and shape side of it is something that's very new. So it's a new language also. So certain people who, I don't know, let's say if I showed my grandmother me cutting shapes, she's probably going to say, oh, you're doing a shuffle. Do you know what I'm saying? So yeah, it's not to say it's wrong or it's right or whatever, but there is a huge difference with cutting shapes and shuffling. Like I said before, I just feel like with shuffling, it's all to do with footwork. It's all to do with that. Techniques and, you know, dynamics and how you slow down, bring it up and whatever and all that stuff. But I feel like when it comes to cutting shapes, you're using your whole body. Yeah. You're using your whole body. And for me personally, I tend to make my feet sync with my hands. So obviously you can just do anything with your hands, but I tend to make sure that anything that my hands is doing is connected, it's doing the same thing. So if someone's far away and they can't actually see my feet, you can see my hand. So you're not missing anything.
Exactly. It's not a half, it's just complete body connection.
Yeah. So yeah, for me personally.
And okay, so many people recently, I don't know if you saw it, but there was a bit of discussion between the community, like worldwide community, both saying that shuffle is not the umbrella word for cutting shapes, Melbourne, and all these things. But would you say that shuffling, maybe shuffle, is the umbrella word for all these dance styles, or would you say it's another umbrella term, you know? For
no, I believe it's an umbrella. That's my personal opinion. Because from shuffling is where all these things did come. That's where it's come from. They're all still related somehow. So me personally, I'd say that's the root of it. No matter if you want to say UK shuffling, Australia shuffling,
or
New
California,
Zealand,
whatever,
California,
Malaysian,
Spain, it doesn't matter. It's still shuffling.
Exactly.
So for me personally, even though I would say I wouldn't call myself a shuffler, and I would prefer to be called a shape cutter,
exactly.
I'm still not going to take away where it came from. So for me, no, the umbrella name is shuffling.
Yeah. And I think that over this period of time, like also currencies developed so much into a bigger thing. Yeah. Because I think that now we want to go with this question. But basically in Spain, we got really influenced by London dancers and the cutting shape movement really early in the beginnings. And then in Spain, we kind of grabbed this movement. You had the house movement. It was a house movement. So what happens in Spain, we just did the same cutting shapes, but in that time in 2015, 2016, like the future house became something like a trend, you know? So what happened is that I think that in Spain, we just did that cutting shapes and then we put our sauce with the music. At that time, there was a future house, you know, bass house.
Yes.
So what happened is that we were still doing the cutting shapes, but then it became something else with our sauce, you know? And for me as a dancer, I think that music is basically what created dance also, you know, because music is like what makes you express.
Yeah, it will take you on that journey. Yes.
And I think that's why in other countries, the shuffling is different because also the music you know.
That influences.
Exactly, because Australia, they have the hard side, you know, the side trance and everything.
Yeah.
And the technique, they also do running man, but the technique is so much different. And the power, the energy, you know. But I think that because it comes from the music, you know. Also in USA, they have this Cali style that use a lot of techno, you know, to dance to it. And also in Brazil, they have they say free stepping, you know, in Amsterdam, bunny dance, you know. But I think that everything comes from the same, you know, the roots.
Yeah.
And then each country, and depending on the style and the influence, they have put their own sauce. So that's why for me, like Spain, like put on the map cutting shapes, but it became something else because right now, I think that many countries have their own sauce in cutting shapes, you know. You can see some shaper from Russia, some shaper from US, and see a bit the difference because of the country, you know.
Yes.
So the question is, what do you think about this new cutting shapes Spanish style? When you start looking at Spanish dancers, what do you think about it, this style that we...
I mean, in my opinion, it's just another style. I don't have anything really to... Because... How can I say this? I've traveled and danced with shufflers or shape cutters. I've traveled. So me going to New York, I've definitely been with someone who lives in New York, but will do it a Spanish style. So do you know what I'm saying? So it's not nothing that I'm not used to. I've never seen before. I've just, especially going to New York, and you know, big up Empire Shuffle.
Oh yeah,
yeah, that's my people. Proper people.
Yeah.
And big up to Shape Shack. They're not like that anymore, but they definitely had a huge input into, you know, my past and experiences with cutting shapes. And they always welcome me or want me to. They would put my name on flyers to let everyone know Ev-O-Lution's coming over. Make sure you come down to Shape Shack. Yeah, so yeah, that's shout out to them. But yeah, so I think it's dope. I do see that it's got its own spice, its own thing on it. I think the Ev-O-Lution's good. I'm a fan of Ev-O-Lution.
Yeah, so. Everything's evolution.
Yeah, like I'm just a fan of everything that grows. Yeah. If I wasn't, we would still be just shuffling and it would just be just the feet. Do you get me? But me being a dancer, I wouldn't be able to just come on this scene and just shuffle using my feet. I'm someone who likes to express. Develop, yeah, I like to let it out. And however that music takes over my body and lets me do it, that's how I do it. So yeah, I love the Spanish stuff.
Yeah, and that's rude what you say, like that. Whatever the music, you know, it's trying to make you express, then you have to go through it.
Just go through
no names, no steps, you know. Sometimes it's about expression, you know, not exactly put a box, you know, this is this and that. Sometimes you have to let it go, and that's evolution, you know. So yeah, I got you. That's so nice. And also, this is not here, but I don't know if you remember back then that many shufflers were saying, no, you're not cutting, like cutting shapes is not shuffle, blah, blah. Many people from OGs, whatever, you know, from other countries were saying, no, that's not shuffle. So nowadays it doesn't make any sense. But what do you think about that time where they were putting like cutting shapes like, nah, you know?
I think I got a lot to say about that stuff. Regarding, I just feel like one person could go on YouTube and find cutting shapes or find shuffling and come across it and learn it, and then go and teach it to their cousin. But because they've gone and found that, or their cousin or friend or whoever, but because they haven't done their research on it and they've just seen the start, I think like there's a lot of missing information and there's a lot of missing facts. So, you know, it's not anybody from any other country to then point and say that's not cutting shapes, because they didn't invent it. It didn't come from there. So they can't tell anybody what is cutting shapes and from what it is. If anybody is going to say that's not cutting shapes, it would be the UK lot. But the UK lot would just believe that cutting shape is expression using your top body half. When you're shuffling, you use your top body. It's not, it doesn't go any further than that. It really doesn't. So for me personally, when I was coming across that stuff, I tried to avoid it because I just felt like I didn't want to. I just wanted peace.
Avoid the war.
I just wanted peace. You know, I had friends on that side and I had friends on this side, but you know, now that it's all calmed down and stuff, I can have my say now. But, I just don't. Yeah, I just feel like, it's not for any. Stop being cutting shapes police.
Exactly.
Stop going telling people how to express their self.
Exactly.
If it's cutting shapes to them, it's to them. Leave them alone. Like, that's it. Simple. Yeah.
I think that's so important what you say, that don't try to, it's an art. Dancing is an art. Don't try to say to others how they have to express. You know? And there will be some people that they're in the early days trying to understand what's their styles, you know, and maybe they will be copying something, you know, but that doesn't mean they can develop a style. They're in the early beginnings, you know. So also for that people, like let people just develop their style. They need more time, you know, they need more influences.
Okay, I'll tell you something interesting. So when I first came on the scene and I was trying to understand the movement and what is cutting shapes compared to shuffling and stuff like that, because that's when I joined. When I joined, I heard everyone saying cutting shapes, but I knew what shuffling was, but I didn't get it. I didn't know what cutting shapes actually was until I started going out in the clubs. Like I said, when I danced to that video, I'll just do my own thing. You know that Michael Jackson move where you go on your toes like that?
Exactly.
I was the first person to do that, but I've never been, I'm going to keep it real with you. When it comes to certain moves like that on the house scene, I can't speak for other countries, but the UK house scene, because I was a dancer and I didn't understand the shuffling culture, I was hearing their music, but was still dancing like me. So when I was doing that, They was like, whoa, oh my God, what? And I'm like, what? Like, I'm just dancing, like, what? Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, there's a lot of moves that I did do back then, which I still will probably be able to find the videos of.
Mm-hmm.
That's why it went viral.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was doing moves to the house music
Exactly.
that was not seen before.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, when I jumped on the scene, I was still trying to understand the difference between cutting shapes and shuffling. And then when I when I was told,
mm-hmm.
cutting shapes is anything you want to do as long as you don't touch the floor, because then it becomes breakdance. Don't touch the floor is what the UK
Stomp to the beat, and yeah.
You can do anything. You just express yourself, mm-hmm. do anything. You don't have to shuffle, because that's what it turned into. And when I first started the scene, another movement was For the Love of House. So with that, there was like a group of people that would always go around singing For the Love of House.
Mm-hmm.
So if people was in a party and they would see people arguing, they would go up and say, for the love of house, we're only here for the music, for the love of house.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a thing where there was no trouble, there was no competition, because everything in the UK was based on for the love of house.
Exactly, yeah.
But with the house scene, what happens is every year you've got these babies that turn 18 and then they can go to the club. New generation comes, and then obviously a lot of them just seen videos on YouTube or seen people on Instagram and I want to do that. Again, don't know the history.
Mm-hmm.
But because it's a trend, they want to jump on that trend. And for some people, they've got good spatial awareness,
mm-hmm.
and some people have got dance history, and they might not be a dancer now, but growing up they took lessons, so
mm-hmm.
they're about that. And you've just got some people that don't know anything about that, and they will go to the club and they will kick and step on people. So then now you've got this group of people over here that's, I don't like shufflers, I don't like shape cutters, they get on my nerves, they're just always, they're not there for the music. No, we are, that's what we're dancing.
Mm-hmm.
But to them, they think it's always got to be a show. They feel like...
They impress. They think that it's to impress what it was about to express.
Yes, exactly. So, the people that may not have that control or feet control or spatial awareness have now then gone and created an audience of people that hate people that go out and cut shapes and dance. I don't know if you know, they at one point they was trying to stop cutting shapes in certain clubs over here.
Oh, I heard this story, but I'm not, I don't know too much.
But I can't really go into details about that, because those clubs I never used to go to anyway, because I never felt those clubs were for me or people like me. So I never used to go to those clubs, but it was a thing. They had signs up.
Okay. I think Carrie Bolt told about this in an interview.
Okay, yeah, they had signs up, no cutting shapes, and certain people that would cut shapes, people take a picture, send it to the club, and the next time you go to the club, it would be the picture of the person, no cutting shapes. Yeah. So that was crazy. An actual thing. That was an actual thing. But I'm not a biased person. As much as I'm a shape cutter, shuffler, dancer, freestyler, whatever box you want to expresser, what box you want to label or put me in or whatever, I just feel like as the generations come, the older lot are like, I can't do this anymore. So every time the new generation comes, the ones at the top will fall off. And it just...
The renovation, of...
But it used to happen very slow. When I first started, that used to happen very slowly.
But now it's
very rapid. The last time I went out, I didn't recognize anyone. Where I walk into a club and I knew everybody in the club.
Exactly.
It's not that anymore. The generation, everything is, again, it's turned into fashion and who's got money and who's wearing their freshest white pair of sneakers to a rave that's going to get dirty as fuck. I don't know, but it's changed. It's not for the love of house anymore.
Exactly. It switched from something for the art and the music and the expression to something more social, something more like who's more cooler,
Yes.
Yeah. I can experience it from the personal, because I got inspired by those videos, people on coughing, like all these cut shapers. And at that time, I get really inspired by them and because of the music. And the first experience, in that kind of clubs where they put deep house, it was last year 2023 in a siesta party, you know, and I had so much fun. Of course, I can know the difference, you know, who was before, because I was also a really kid, you know. But yeah, like it was awesome also that to see that more people were shaping, because in Spain you can see that, you know, because our culture is more like reggaeton, you know, the dances. Of course, there's house, but not the vibe that is here, you know. And of course, you can see that there's difference between before and after, but. What I can say is that for me it was a great experience to, you know, house music with London, you know, people that style, you know, and I had so much fun. I met some people. There's one guy, Joshua, that I met him. He's a fucking like good guy, you know. And he's the next generation, like you said, you know. Yes. But yeah, I think that, like you said, next generation sometimes they're losing the message.
Well, I definitely know now that if we was to go back the last 4 or 5 generations, they don't know what For the Love of House is. They don't even know that existed. So the message is lost, because no matter what negativity may have come, as soon as someone says For the Love of House, everyone would be cool. But that doesn't exist anymore. So
So we talked about it before, but what do you think about this next generation of cutting shapes in London and also worldwide? Like, what do you think about this next generation that are, you know, getting to the cutting shapes scene? We talked about it before, but you can do a short answer.
For those who get it and understand it and are actually a part of it, like big up to them. Like, I love what they're doing. I love the new energy. I love there's a new energy, because over here I felt like Cutting Shapes was getting a bit, it was kind of dying. It was actually drying up. There was no new real fresh UK underground music producers. There was not, it kind of went boring for a while. So I'm glad that, you know, the new generations are keeping it alive for those who understand it and actually want to be a part of the movement and culture. Yeah. So, you know, for those who just see it on TikTok and just want to jump on it and just, it's a trend. Yeah, for that will always be irritating to me.
They don't last.
No, they don't. But they just take up room. Stay at home. You're just taking up room for those who actually want to express themselves, because you're not here to express yourself. You're here to just post a video. And that's another thing. I do believe there's a huge difference between there's shape cutters and dancers, and there's also just posters, people that just go out just to get content, just to keep posting content. You get me? So for those who actually understand it and want to be a part of the culture and get it and want to, you know, either share their knowledge on it or teach others, big up to them. And, you know, I'm all here for it.
Yeah, I think it's really important what you say, because there's people that just take advantage of this dance because, you know, people really like it and they use it, you know, to get promotion, whatever, to grow in social media. And there's others that it's just a speaker, you know, they love to dance, there is their expression, and then they just film, and that is the speaker, you know, but because the music sounds good, the speaker, then they got all this following, you know, because basically they do what they love. So that is very important difference. All right. So last question, where do you see this dance style in 5-10 years? How do you see it? Because it started really small, you know, this movement. Like, if you, like 10 years ago, go to some, like, all the studios, dance studios, do you teach cutting shapes? It's impossible, you know, like 10 years ago. Now it's starting, you know, now you see people teaching here in London as well.
Well, over here, I'll be honest with you, people teaching it here is not a thing here. There's a culture that doesn't support that, because they see it as, even when HouseWarmers started, there was a group of people that didn't agree with it. It's like, it should be in the clubs or in the streets. Why are you going in the studio with that? And to somewhat, I didn't understand it back then, but to somewhat, I kind of get what they're trying to say. But it's like, I've lost my train of thought. Ask me that question again.
How do you see the dance style? Like, because people are teaching right now in London.
Okay, so when it comes to like people teaching, even if I went back in time and was teaching back then, I think I'd be a very rich man, because I feel like there was so much money involved in that. But because of the culture, it was like, you're not supposed to teach, you're supposed to be an expression. So if someone wants to learn, it has to be more of a vibing thing, more of a planned setup thing. We're going to go there with mirrors and I'm going to teach you this and that and that. So there's not really, not compared to like New York or other countries, there's not a huge teaching base here for that. There is when it comes to like house dancing and house, you know, that's a whole different type of, but when it comes to shape cutting or shuffling, there's not really much groups going around teaching that in studios. HouseWarmers and Shuffle UK Sundays, Shuffle UK and
UK team,
places like that were only the places that you could actually go and learn, because there's people that's going to be willing to teach you. But not for me to then say, okay, I'm creating a business that I'm going to go around teaching people to cut shapes and I'm going to create a page for it. Back then, the trolls were just trolling, like, why are you teaching? I've got into many problems with UK shufflers. And I've not done anything to them, but just by me having HouseWarmers, or why is your name Ev-O-Lution and why is that person's got a name? You guys are clowns. Everyone's got made up names. So it's crazy that just because someone wants to express themselves can bother other people. Do you know what I'm saying? And that's wild. Like that's absolutely wild. But it exists. It actually exists. So I'm not sure if I came off the I sometimes I run away.
No, but you were telling basically that you don't teach because some people were saying like, no, it's a culture, you know, so don't teach because that's not business, whatever.
So I feel like now, like, you know, big up and shout out to those who are teaching it and doing their thing. But it's never been my thing, because once upon a time when I had the opportunity to do it, I declined it. So it's just never been my thing. But you know, those who want to learn it or teach it, like I feel like I've got up in age now, so there's many things that I used to like hold tight grips of. It's not that anymore. I just, you know, like even HouseWarmers, if someone came to me and said they wanted to start a HouseWarmers in Spain or start a HouseWarmers in New York, I would be like, go ahead. Where before it was something like, no, like this is my baby. Like I've built this for how many years, but I've got to the point where I'm aging, and you know, if someone wanted to come to me and said, oh, like, would you trust me? Yeah, we can have a meeting, and you know, if the things aligned, I would definitely start a HouseWarmers Spain, HouseWarmers New York, HouseWarmers Barcelona, whoever. Do you know what I mean? I would do that. I would. Where before I probably wouldn't. But just like social media, I feel like, you know, I've always had certain people say to me, like, when you used to go to New York, you've danced with certain people. I seen when you used to teach certain people, but now they're sponsored by Red Bull or they're doing this music video or whatever. How does that make you feel? I was just expressing myself. I was never in this to be rich, because if that was the case, I would be rich, because I would have I would have been teaching, I would have been doing all the things I needed to do to make money. But for me, HouseWarmers has always just been about the music and community and expression, and that's it. It's always been that. And I've had people pull me to a side and say, you need to put on a HouseWarmers party, you can make so much money. You need to do these events. And I've never, even when I do the HouseWarmers raves or the big parties, the tickets are dirt cheap. Everything's affordable. As long as I can pay the DJs.
Exactly, cover the expenses.
That's all I care about. I'm not here trying to do all that extra stuff. I've never been that person. I used to go around teaching dance before HouseWarmers and stuff. I used to go around teaching dance in schools and youth clubs, and I did that for voluntary for 10 years. No money. So I feel like when it comes to HouseWarmers, there's no difference. I'm just here for the passion and the passion only, and the people. How the people make me feel when they come to me like, oh my God, I didn't know that move before, but keep coming to HouseWarmers. Now I feel confident, and now I can do this, and now I can do that. That is what pays me. That's what I'm about. So yeah. I feel like, you know, before I went through this new transition, it probably would bother me that there were certain people that I know that, you know, when it comes to the UK, currently I'm still doing what I'm doing. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of people have dried up. Let's face it. A lot of people have dried up. I'm still currently doing what I'm doing, but, you know, it would have hurt that, you know, some people might have not said, oh, because there's many people that I've left in the US that I've said, let's do a collab. But they're too known for me now, or they're too big for me. Yeah, so they would just leave my message on red and things like that. A lot of females that I've worked with, like, yeah, they would just leave me on. So I just have to always big up Empire Shufflers, because they have never switched up on me, never changed on me.
And that's, I think all these people, like, I also met them in New York. Like,
amazing people.
Yeah.
And I don't want to say any names because I don't want to leave anybody out. So let's just call them as a group, because if I leave anybody out, I'll feel bad. So they're all amazing people. They've never switched up on me. So yeah.
And I think that when you start all of this, you never thought about teaching or whatever, because it was about what you said, community, you know, and the vibe and everything. But yeah, I think that in this next generation, what will happen is that the way to not express it, but to expand this dance, it will be through teaching, you know, through studios, because there's also meetups happening and everything. But I think that before the culture was more like meetups, you know, and the clubs and everything. But I think that there's also this new generation of people that basically they like music, but they will never go clubbing, for example, but they like the dance, you know. So now there's many different things, you know, that, as you said, you know, it's renewing, and it's just different. What I think is going to happen in the future maybe is that it will get more popular, maybe into the mainstream, so people will know cutting shapes and all these things, but because of this new generation, not because of people who start the movement, you know. But I think it's that how every time happens, you know, in many different arts, music, whatever. So
I mean, I'm not going to lie to you. I feel like it might be different terms and conditions for different countries. I feel like when I've traveled and worked with other shape cutters and other shufflers, it's a different type of passion. It's a complete different type of passion. I feel like over here, the passion can expire very quickly. I feel like some people will discover that they can cut shapes and like, oh my God. So they go out to the clubs and they're enjoying it in the clubs. But then there's always this thing of, oh, there's young people in the clubs. Oh yeah, there's just too many young people. And for me personally, like, if that was so much your passion, you wouldn't have jumped off. You wouldn't have cared. You would have just continued doing what you're doing. Don't get me wrong. There is some events or some names that I've gone to and I feel like I'm the oldest person there. So I do get it to a certain extent, but it's not every club where you're going to find that. But I just feel like people find this thing of, oh no, there's kids. But like I said, it's either you're there for the music or you're there for the movement, or what are you there for? Because what else matters? Do you know what I mean? Like, okay, you came to get drunk, go somewhere else.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean? Like, there's other places you can go get drunk where you're not going to find people expressing themselves. Go to a cocktail bar or something. Do you know what I mean? So I feel like for the UK, the promoters are putting on, so we haven't got a big network of promoters here. So I feel like what's happening recently is that the small network promoters are now collaborating with each other, but they're putting on events too soon. We are not waiting we're not waiting 2 weeks anymore, or 3 weeks or 4 weeks for an event where we're like, oh my God, I can't wait.
Yeah, and it's everything happening. You have to choose.
So people don't really go out anymore because it's like it's the same music, the same people, it's just the same.
Yeah.
But obviously the people at the top, the promoters, all they're thinking is quick, let's make out some money. And again, some of these new promoters are from the new generation. Well, I'm not going to say new generation, but way later or after I came along. So with them now, again, it's not for the love of house. They don't get the movement. For them, it's a money thing, quick money. They're not thinking about the movement as in a whole. They don't care.
They have to start doing it for the culture.
Yeah, they don't care. So for the love of house has disappeared with that over here. So I feel like if it continues running how it's running, I feel like you will probably get more of the professional side of shuffling. So when it comes to like commercials and music videos, but when it comes to like underground and the streets and that's going to die because we haven't really, you know, I've even got people messaging saying, bring HouseWarmers back, bring HouseWarmers. But when I do, it's not how it used to be, where HouseWarmers started at 7 o'clock and people was at the door at 6 o'clock because they was in the queue because it would get so busy.
Yeah.
We couldn't let everybody in. So people would queue up before it starts. It's not that anymore.
Yeah.
I put it on and I need to just hold my fingers crossed that this week people turn up, because where it's weekly, you have people say, oh, I'll just go next week. Oh, I'll just go next week. And when everyone starts to think like that, it
never happens.
Doesn't.
Yeah.
Do you get me?
Yeah.
So hopefully, you know, it continues over here, or maybe collaboration internationally and bringing people in can revive it. But if we leave it to the UK lot, I'm in university and I haven't been dancing and shuffling and putting HouseWarmers out there. I haven't put HouseWarmers out there. I think it's been over a year or two now. So there's no one else out there that's actually bringing fire to the table like that. No disrespect to anybody, but it is what it is. It's just being honest. Like no one's being fully active like that currently. So I feel like if we don't start reaching out or collaborating with other people and reviving it, then it will dry out.
Yeah, and I think also that your generation and this next generation that started in pandemic or started recently I think it's not connected at all.
It's definitely not connected.
You know, and I think that as you said, something has to happen to put it together again, and that you like bring the message and everything and the culture, and people understand a bit better what was behind the dance. You know, what was before the dance. So I think if we can connect these both things,
I'll be honest,
it will evolve even more faster, you know?
But with the UK scene, the main ingredient, which is very sad, and I'm just going to keep it real, you can pick and choose what you want to put in this interview from what you don't want to put in it. But I'm just going to keep it real with you. When it comes to the UK house scene, there's a very important ingredient, which is so there's a lot of them, if they don't do they feel they can't dance. So in the club, Ev-O-Lution, I want you to teach me. I want you to teach. Give me your number. Oh yeah. And then I'll be calling them. You should be calling me because you want me, but there's me chasing you. Yeah. Oh. And there's always got an excuse. And then after a while, I realize when they're in the club and they're on it, they feel they can dance or want to dance. When they're sober,
they don't have the balls.
They don't have the balls to do it. So then they don't even answer my calls or respond back. And then every time I see you in the club, you're like, teach me something now. I'm sorry, I'm not here for that. I'm here to just express myself. I'm not here to just start teaching in a club. Do you get me? If I was the first one in the club and I'm waiting for people to come, then that's a whole different story because we have space for that.
Exactly.
But again, I'm not going to a club to start teaching moves because it just looks wrong from the outside. We are not here for that. Let's meet up on a different day and do something like
this happens like this every time we dance somewhere or whatever, all the time. Teach me, like, yo, like, yo, wait a minute. Place. You will not learn in you know, right now, all the steps, and like, you will not express it like you want. Like, it doesn't make sense, you know?
There's a time.
Just come to us, come to the community, learn about it, and then you will express it that way. But it's impossible. They don't understand, you know. They don't understand.
Exactly.
Because it's that innocence of, I want teach me. But it's about something more than that.
Yes.
But yeah.
So if the new lot, and that's why I held on to HouseWarmers, because when HouseWarmers first started, it was like 16 and up. Because the building I was teaching in was for 16 and up. But once we left that building, I said, let's open it. And we had little babies cutting shapes. I don't know if you've seen videos of that. We had kids like...
But the kids were so advanced at that time.
It was really good.
Like I saw them and still they have something that I don't see done nowadays.
Because they was coming on a weekly basis and watching us. And as kids, you absorb. So there was one little guy that he would come back. And I'm like, I can see me in this kid because he's doing everything that I would be doing. So kids absorb a lot growing up. And those kids compared to even grown people I've seen in clubs is totally different. It's not the same. It's sad, but you know, that's why I'm going to school, because HouseWarmers is not dead, guys. HouseWarmers will never die. HouseWarmers will live forever. It doesn't matter if it comes back in a record label form or a school form or whatever. And you know, I've got to the age where the culture is no longer what it is now. So if someone was to approach me and says, I want to hire you to teach cutting shapes or shuffling, I would do it now. But back then I just felt like I had too many people that was supported me say, no, don't do that, don't do that. They're going to call you a clown, or they're going to say, it's own expression, it's own expression. Don't force it or make it a thing. But now, I've gone past that. I don't care about any of that stuff, to be fair with you. I just wish everyone all the best with what they're doing. Like I said, if they're really truly about the movement. And you know, like what you brought up earlier when you was like, how do I feel about those who were saying like, that's not cutting shapes or that's not shuffling, vice versa, whatever. Stop being expression police officers. Stop telling people how to express themselves. Do you know what I mean? Like, and again, because I can say that the term cutting shapes is from the UK. That has come from the UK. So us, the UK, if we're not going to Spain, if we're not going to Australia, if we're not going to America and saying, that's not cutting shape, no one else should be saying it. Because we don't go around saying that.
Exactly, yeah.
So no one else should be saying it, to be fair. That's me. And like I said, when I first jumped on the scene, anything is classed as cutting shape as long as you're moving your feet in the top body. Just don't touch the floor, because then it goes down as breakdancing.
All right. You're a fucking legend. Okay. I think with this, it's perfect to finish the interview. Thank you so much for everything. I want that people really know you. And yeah, I hope you enjoy this interview, and see you in the next one.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
I don't know if you're too much into history. Like, what do you think that Australia people that started Melbourne Shuffle, do you think that they get inspired by London people style? How do you think that it started, that movement of Melbourne? Because they got the influence and then they made it their own sauce. Do you know something about this?
Call Happy Feet for that.
Okay, let's it's like the call, you know, like the...
Oh, you sent me messages?
No, bro, I called you before that 3 times.
Bomber Rascler, and here's me like, it's on loud looking in my face.
So you're going to ask the question.
Yeah. Yo, what's up? How are you?
Listen.
Yo, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, so basically I invite Evo to ask some questions about the movement, cutting shapes, everything, a bit of his background. And Evo told me that you know a lot about dance movement, and I would really love to know more about it. So
okay,
yeah, basically, like, if you can tell me more about the cutting shape movement, what do you know about it? Everything from the UK style, like house shuffle in London and everything.
Okay, so I guess you have to take it away from London to begin with, and it goes back to the acid house movement in the 90s in Chicago. That came from Chicago. So there was a development of groups that were based in America, and the early, let's say the news, it's like a combination of New Jack Swing in the 80s and 90s and house music in Chicago that really developed shuffling that we see today. And then UK groups in the 80s and 90s were inspired by those moves, and then it was brought over into the UK scene, and then just, I guess, developed through there, to be honest.
Manchester?
Yeah, Manchester. So there's a Manchester. I think there's videos on YouTube if you have a look, like Manchester, Moss Side, and there was like literal dance crews that used to go to parties with whistles, blowing whistles, and then dancing. So I think there's this one song, Adonis, No Way Back. And if you listen to that sound, and if you listen to that song along with that Steve Hurley, Jack Your Body, those original kind of Chicago house was the development of like the footwork kind of movement. But it was just general dancing. It wasn't coined as footwork or shuffling per se as we know it in the modern day. They were just dancing to the music, dancing creatively to the music. And then from there, there was a progression of the house scene from within like UK. It's a combination of different styles kind of merged together. So like you got the old school like jungle, old school garage, and then into grime, and then into, I guess, house. And that was again a combination. The UK, we've had like an amalgamation of different styles from Africa, from America, all kind of brought together. And then the London house scene, I guess, for me, my journey started in, let's say, 2011, where it was actually this guy, Ev's relative called Mr.Shapes, and I used to see Mr. Shapes on YouTube.
Yeah.
And his videos on YouTube, his videos, oh my God, they were just phenomenal. So then I just started getting into, I guess from 2011, I started getting into the whole house scene, but never actually appeared on the house scene until about 2012 when I went to my first house rave. And then I guess it just went from beginning to where I am now.
And would you say, because okay, we have to understand as a dancers that first came to music and then we express to the music as dancers. So we can understand now that the acid house, I also studied that, and it's crazy that you're saying this. But yeah, so basically it came from Chicago. But would you say that the dance in London, the footwork, all of this, would you say that came from Chicago, or just the music, and then here they developed this kind of merge of different styles? What do you think about it?
So I guess again you have to look at another pioneer. You're talking to him, Mr. Everton. He came with a video which it was a Mind Your Step. He did a video, one of the first HouseWarmers videos to Mind Your Step, and again he was just moving to the music. And then that was another one of those videos that just caught a lot of traction and a lot of attention into this whole idea of footwork and moving with your feet. Because originally with the original house dancing, it was a lot more with your upper body and less on your footwork. But I guess Ev came with another spin to it, where his foot was doing some craziness. Him, Kerry, and all those early pioneers in the house scene started doing stuff with their feet. And I guess where that reimagination of house music was then reimagined into what we call footwork today. But as you can see throughout history, if you go to even as early as back as the 1920s and jazz movement, and they were doing footwork moves from then. You see the tap dances, like there's these two black brothers that used to dance, do tap dancing and do loads of things with their feet. If you look at James Brown in the 60s and the stuff that he used to do with his feet. So like, it's just been embedded. It was just never really coined as footwork. So it's just, I guess it's just a wonderful amalgamation of all just different dance styles. So just expressing yourself through music before it was actually coined as footwork and shuffling as we know it today.
Do you know maybe when it starts, the term shuffling? Because I know it started with the drop foot and all of these names, but when this start shuffling became, like this kind of movement of doing the footwork, do you know?
I am not 100% sure, but again, I feel like it's just been attributed to, I guess people just coined the phrase. It wasn't like a definite start date, but people just coined the phrase. Also, I guess when you start commenting on people's videos, you'll say, yeah, footwork, or this guy can shuffle, this guy's got shapes. So it was like an amalgamation of like shapes, shuffling, and footwork. When we were watching when we used to comment on the videos, and that's how it wasn't like a definite, okay, this is what it is. We were just saying, at one point we were saying cutting shapes. And then that was, as I said, back in the day, before I even got onto the foot using my feet, I was more into using my upper body and my hands to create those movements. So then I guess I feel like it was just like over a period of time where those videos became more popular. And then you saw from, what's the DJ S-Star? Is it S-Star? DJ Jawsey, sorry. DJ Jawsey started doing episodes, cutting shape videos, episodes of cutting shape videos. I got shaped, yeah. And that again started exposing the house scene and putting it onto the radar as becoming less underground and becoming more commercial.
In the mainstream.
Because a lot of the stuff, I'm becoming more mainstream because a lot of the stuff was just done in clubs, and then the clubs would video their, like DJs and photographers and videographers would video like club nights and people just dancing, and then people would watch those videos, and then the movement just went from strength to strength. And then obviously, again, one of the biggest influence was ourselves, HouseWarmers, and then how we exploded onto the scene. And then, you know, you saw different developments going from there and bringing it from the underground into more of the commercial.
Yeah, I think it was it's kind of movement that happens, and also I think it's also a revolution because like people start showing what was happening in the underground. You know, all the movement, all the expression that was only for club and for adults people start looking at the streets. You know, so I think it was a transformation. You know.
Yeah, definitely. It went from something that was, you know, underground and quite niche. It had to be, you know, you had to enjoy that kind of music. You had to enjoy that kind of music and, you know, fall in love with the music. So for me, it was you know, when they say for the love of house, they used to have like YouTube pages. I think even Kerry had like for the love of house, hashtag. For the love of shapes. Yeah, hashtag. Yeah, for the love of house, for the love of shapes. It started like underground, and then it was just that, I guess, that connection, that divine connection that we have with the music that ends up, you know, doing things that sends you into almost cardiac arrest. Because for me, I'm a bigger kind of guy, so people see the moves that I'm doing in the club, and I'm like,
you're crazy, bro.
It's crazy. And they're like, okay, has this guy taken something? And I'm like, no, I'm just literally in love with the music.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, like I wanted to talk with you because I think it's really interesting. Not many people, because on internet there's many misinformation. Like I talked with Evo about it, and it's so cool that we can, you know, like bring all this information, all these pioneers to, you know, came to a point like, okay, this is the beginnings. You know, this is the people that start the movement. How is the movement? What's the difference between other movements? Because also in the community, many people like, no, but shuffle is not cutting shapes, like cutting shape is not shuffle, blah, blah, blah. You know, and I think that bringing this information makes sense that it's basically the influence. It's like where it comes the cutting shapes from moving the arms, from the shuffling, you know?
It was just, as I said, it started off like with a lot of arm movements and using your arms. And then, as I said, like, seeing Ev doing that mind your step and get the feet moving at the same time. It was like, this is another.
But I actually came in with a different angle, because for me, when I jumped on the scene, all I heard people talking about was shuffling. So for me, it was about the feet. It was when I started using my upper body with the bottom half is when I got the reaction like, oh my God, what is he doing? That's mad. That's different. That's crazy. Do you get me? Like I was explaining to Mark that, you know, when it came to certain moves like the Michael Jackson on your toe point and things like that, like back then, no one ever done it. Hence why those videos was going viral, because no one was doing outside movement.
Outside the box stuff.
Yeah, no one was doing everyone was doing the exact same movement with their own flavor, which means if they want to have their shoulders up or their shoulders down, or a hand up or a hand down, but there was no extra stuff with it. But I was explaining that I didn't understand the movement, so I just was just dancing how I dance. But then that is what got the attention that we got to have HouseWarmers just come and appear.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. All right. So thank you so much for everything. Happy Feet. You're a legend. Also,
you're welcome, man.
I saw your videos like then when I saw your videos. I was like, damn, this guy is crazy. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, it's a pleasure to have this little conversation.
Once the music takes me. But yeah, thank you.
No, of course.
One day we need to organize where we all go raving together.
Exactly. That's what I need.
He lives in Dubai. So
whenever you're ready. I live in Dubai.
Oh.
He's here in the summer and he's here for Christmas. So if you come next year summer, he will be here. Or if you come near Christmas, then
Okay, we have to make something for sure. All right.
Definitely.
All right. Thank you so much, Happy Feet. And yeah, it was a pleasure.
You're welcome. Take care.
I'll call you soon, bro. We'll talk.
All right, my bro.
Yeah.
All right.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Man.
Thank you. That was really dope. I will put this on top this conversation, so you can also know about more about the movement with a happy feet person. So that's perfect. Thank you, brother.